Hello, our truth warriors. Welcome back to the Atlantic Underground podcast. Today, it's not a podcast. I'm just putting something together that has been a lot of information that's been coming through for me for a while. And it's taken me several weeks to actually sit down and put this video out because the information that I'm going to talk about is seriously damning for a lot of people. Now, I don't need to believe anything that I say, but I would like you to, as we always say here, believe nothing and question everything. But I would like you to go and do your own research and make your mind up from the information that I'm going to put out here today for you to look at. The world is changing very quickly. We're moving forward to an agenda goal of 2030. And all the pieces are starting to fall into place, and I am noticing them. We're on the precipice of something disastrous. And how can a piece of legislation put into effect in 2013 be the catalyst of global destruction and certainly things that are going to change the world as we know them? The Bail-in Act is in every country with a central bank, and it's purposeful by its design. Right now, we've got those in control of the digital rollout, and they are starting to close banks down, and they're starting to make it awkward for a lot of banks to transact. This is all part and parcel of the plan, as there will only be one in every country left to handle the central bank digital currency rollout. I'll guarantee that the US, it's going to be JP Morgan again, because this is the very same bank that emerged after the shutdown of the 1930s. And first, we probably should go back to the 1930s and just briefly touch upon what happened there. The shutdown of the banks, and the banks never opened again in the 1930s, and everybody's money was gone. Most people would never think that this would be able to happen again in this lifetime that we're in. But it is happening again, and it will happen again, and all the pieces are being put into place in the world now for the greatest wealth transfer to happen. You see, tariffs were put on. Sounds familiar? Tariffs were put onto different things back then, and this caused the system to go under. We're going to see pretty much the same playbook happen again, because the people who orchestrate this, they're not very creative. They'll take an old way of doing something and they'll just modernize it to suit the purpose again. And that's exactly where we are right now. They are going to shut the banks down again. And this bail-in act that's in place means that all your money is going to be gone. They put this into law so it would be out of the sight and minds of people when it will be used, and it will be used. The US and Mexico is a key thing moving forward with the plans as well. They are in Mexico currently. They have just literally brought out 25 more laws. It's to do with biometrics. It's to do with digital surveillance. It's also to do with the National Guard becoming militarized and taking over all public matters. In other words, something major is coming down the pipeline here in Mexico. And it's not just going to be here, it's going to be in every country around the world. But being where I am right now is allowing me to focus upon the steps forward that are certainly within lockstep with the other countries who are all rolling forward with this agenda rollout. The surveillance is going to become something beyond what we've ever seen, and they're going to bring out false flags. They're going to make sure that there's massive civil unrest around the world to bring in laws that will make this all come into place. And the fact that the military now are going to be taking over civilian matters means that it's going to become very dangerous. You will not be able to speak out. You will not be able to go against the very system. But all I can tell you now is that you can at least prepare for it and not be caught off guard when this comes in. The biometrics and surveillance states to match what is in place for this agenda. As I say, 25 new laws. We've got Peter Thiel with Palantir. He's been given the keys to roll this out in the US. This is part of a deliberate destabilization. These techniques are becoming very apparent to me, and apparent with riots. We're starting to see riots across the world and issues in the US. And what we're seeing here in Mexico are anti-gringo rallies. Mexico City a couple of weeks ago had something, anti-gringo rally, the spray painting on the wall, kill gringos. When this all unfolds, it's going to gain momentum. I'll guarantee that this anti-gringo rally in the first instance was a paid-for operation, very similar to the destabilization techniques that George Soros has used in the past. Black Lives Matter, Antifa, things like the Arab Springs, things like the color revolutions. These have all been deliberate destabilization techniques to gain control of these countries. The spray paintings of the wall saying kill gringos is just the start of what will be an eventual carbon copy of what is happening in South Africa, where the whites are being killed by the people. And I do feel that when we get to a stage of removing cash in Mexico, which is the goal, and moving into this digital currency, there's going to be a lot of people starving. There's going to be people dying. They're going to be watching the children suffer because there won't be the availability of food and transactions in the stores. This is all to do with a credit lockup within the financial system, which will be global. At this point, people are going to go looting and people are going to go taking whatever they can from anyone. And as the rise of the anti-gringo rallies in Mexico continue, it's sowing the seeds in the many people's minds that we will be the very first people to attack and take things from before they all start fighting amongst themselves. This is the reason why we're leaving Mexico. That's how serious I am about what's coming, because most people won't move. They won't choose to believe that this isn't coming down the pipeline, and they will choose to believe that they will be safe and they will be protected. You're not going to be protected. And not only that, we've got things within the US right now where major criminal gangs, if anybody has seen my interview with a gentleman called JJ Carell, he's a border agent, and he was tracking the severity of the major organized crimes coming into the US, MS-13 and people like that. There's lots of different groups up there. Now ICE are getting these people and they're shipping them back to Mexico. These are going to be very angry groups coming back here. They're not going to blame the fellow Mexicans for this. They're going to blame the US for kicking them out. These people probably have big houses, lots of money, firearms, trafficking, whatever it is they're doing. They had a very good income coming from what they were doing, and now they are no longer able to touch that, and they're kicked out of the country that they chose to do this in. These are possibly going to be the people who are going to drive forward the attacks against many whites within Mexico. So please be aware of what's coming. With the Bail-in Act, it will come into effect during the next financial collapse, which this time will be a credit freeze. A liquidity lockup, as we say. Money will stop moving. And now this will either create global hyperinflation, or the cash will just have no value so quickly that nothing can be bought or sold. And it's this transition period that's going to be the problem. This is when people are going to be starving. They're not going to be able to buy or sell anything. Those that own the big corporations won't care that they won't have food in the Walmarts and in these different companies, because they're all part of the plan, and they're the ones that really want to bring home the goal. We always have to remember the agenda has always been and will remain for a one world government, and I'll get to that in a minute with what's coming there. But let's look at the Bail-in Act a little bit more, because the Bail-in Act allows the banks this time to keep your cash. Everything you have on deposit, it is legal for them to seize, and this is going to be exactly the same as what we said with the 1930s. The banks will close, your money will be gone, you will not see it again, and then there will be this void and this transition period before we move into a digital currency as the solution to the problems that you have. No government bailouts this time, unfortunately. It's just everything that you have taken once more by the banks, legally and intentionally. Utter chaos will follow this, as food and other essential commodities will become scarce to the citizen of the street and those who have not prepared for what is coming. Pillaging and looting, which is what we've said, will become the norm as a survival of the fittest and the boldest, and it becomes the becoming of what will be a dystopian nightmare, unfortunately. There's going to be disease, there's going to be illness, there's going to be injury and starvation. And this will be the driving force of the waves of mass deaths. The governments and those that truly control them now have the perfect storm to roll out their endgame, and their Hegelian dialectic scenario becomes once more a reality. The bankers, the banksters of capitalism, as we call them, now will offer at this point to audit and value everything you have, and allow a tokenized digital credit for them, which will be added to your digital central bank accounts. And that's when we get to the digital account scenario and the digital currency system. It's not going away, people. This is in place already. They're just ready to roll it out, and they need the false flags, the triggers, the destabilization to bring this about. And what they're going to do is they're going to come and they're going to take a look. And let's say you own your house, and let's say you own a car and a refrigerator and a cell phone. That will all be assessed, and everything will be given a credit value. When the World Economic Forum was making the statement that you will own nothing and be happy, this will become the reality, because they're not backing down on their agendas and goals, regardless how much we protest and what we do. The way that you will own nothing, I don't know where the be happy thing comes in, because I don't think people are going to be happy at all. They'll be happy to get out of the mess that they're going to create. And, ordo ab chaos, order out of chaos. If nobody knows where that motto comes from, I suggest that you look it up now. You'll see who is behind what is coming, the orchestrators and the people who are going to bring this about. But back to the digital and tokenized stuff with the World Economic Forum. Yeah, they're going to come, they're going to give your house a value, they're going to give possibly, maybe what you've lost in your bank account a value. But don't bet on that. But your cell phone, your car, everything will be given, so many million credits, and that will be put into your digital credit account. Even you as a human being will be tokenized and put onto the stock exchange. The digital system will allow you to buy and live the same way that you have with a bank account, but it's going to be a lot more controlled. And at this point, your house, your car, your phone, your refrigerator, everything that they have put a tokenized credit system to, you do not own. So when they say you will own nothing and be happy, this is what they meant. They meant that everything you own will be tokenized, and you will then rent it back from the controlling faction, which I do believe will be possibly the Bank of International Settlements, or just the central banks in charge of your country. JP Morgan for the US, maybe the Royal Bank of Canada, RBC in Canada, maybe HSBC in the UK. I don't know which ones are going to take over within Europe, possibly Deutsche Bank for Germany. Those who have been doing as they're told and rigging the systems for so long, LIBOR scandals, silver, gold rigging, their reward is that they will be the final bank to be within that country and run the digital control system. It's very difficult to take in, and I know that a lot of people are probably looking at this now, shaking their head, thinking that maybe I've lost my mind. But please go away, start looking at everything that I'm telling you. The pieces of the jigsaw will come together and form a picture that you probably don't want to see. Military control on the street will come into place. This is certainly why the laws in Mexico have just come into place, and laws within other countries that will be being put into place. And you will do exactly as you are told. All your digital drip feed of credit from the digital system will be removed. It's going to be very similar to the Chinese social credit scoring system. You can be switched on and switched off, especially, if you're criticizing the very government that are supposedly helping you. It's just going to be like 1984. Your compliance will be required, and any pushback against the monster in control will be met with tyrannical force. You will be switched off. If you don't think this is possible, then take a look at the agenda goals of the United Nations and the World Economic Forum. Ask yourself why, at the last Bilderberg meeting, depopulation was the topic to be discussed, and what that means for you moving forward. I'm expecting all this to come about within the next 5 years. They have a goal of 2030 to reach, and I'm sure that they want that goal to be in place before 2030. The pieces of the jigsaw now are there for those that wish to complete the puzzle and see the picture of what's happening and what's emerging. Your compliance to these invisible chains is required, and all you need to do before it happens is say no. We do have a small window of opportunity now to not comply before this comes into place. Do not comply, and don't fear the resistance against the evil forces, because the moment you do, they have you. Once they have you in fear, so don't let that happen. The opportunity does present itself to bring about a world worth living in, and you have a choice now to take the power you have back or allow the new world order to achieve its goals. I suggest you think today about what your future looks like, as the responsibility is now in your hands, and together, if we join together and work together, this is a wake-up call and a stand that we will make to the changes for good. Now, I'm going to tell you about a conversation that I had just a few years ago. I have investments with a large and well-known investment company for pensions and stocks and shares. My broker said to me, because their company tracks and trends things, that they were tracking the trend of the US invading Mexico. And at the time I said to him, well, that makes no sense. Why would they do that? He says, I don't know. He said, I don't know why. He said, but they're going to use the excuse of the cartel and fentanyl and drugs. We're there right now. What he told me, we're there right now. Now, let me explain to you how the one world government, the new world order, will bring about the plan that they have had for so long. The US will wait until the gringos are being killed in Mexico, and they will use that as a pretense to invade. But it was always their goal to invade anyway. Where Trump was mouthing off about taking Canada and Greenland, this is all part of the plan. And it ties into Europe as well, because what's going to happen is Europe, the UK, Greenland, Canada, the US, Mexico, and other South American countries are all going to become part of what they will class as a North American Union. Because to have a one world government, you first have to have two world governments. And those two world governments will fight each other. So first they need to create this North American Union. And I've explained to you how they're going to do that here already. Then World War III is going to explode like you've never seen before. Right now, we've been tracking the fact that Volkswagen are making weapons. We're also tracking the fact that the new chancellor in Germany has given the Ukraine 150 long-range missiles. Russia are aware of this, and Russia have said if any of these long-range missiles strike into Russia, that will be a declaration of war against Germany. You starting to see how this is coming together, everyone? The invasion of Germany at this point will trigger the NATO nations, and the NATO nations are going to be the nations involved with this North American Union. It's going to be the North American Union against the BRICS nations. They don't care. This is part of the Bilderberg plan for depopulation. They don't care about us. Don't think that the government cares about you and wants to look after you. They are all working for the very same machine that's going to bring this about. World War is going to be so horrendous that they're going to allow the depopulation. They're going to allow everything to destroy many things around the world, to the point where public sentiment is at a level of screaming for something to be done. This is classic problem, reaction, solution. As I say, they always use the same plans. The plans that they have to do this is going to allow the likes of the United Nations, the peacekeepers, who have never been peacekeepers, they are the very ones that go in and destabilize things around the world and are part and parcel of what's going on, are going to come in and they're going to offer a solution to humanity on the world, whoever's left living, suffering through the consequences of war, financial disaster, and everything else that's going on. And eventually, that solution, that offering that they're going to have, is going to be the one world government, one world banking, and probably a lot of other one world things. This is how they're going to meet their goals. This is how they're going to get to where they need to be. And if you're aware of the situation, and if you understand what's coming down, you should now start taking preparations to make sure you survive what's coming. Can't guarantee that we're all going to make through this, but I can guarantee that I'll warn you and I'll keep you on top of everything that's going on up until the point there will be clusters of us within communities trying to survive this. As I said before, will it be staying in Mexico? No. It's going to start resembling South Africa, and possibly within the next 18 months. I don't want to shock people. I don't want to worry people and panic people. But I do want people to go away and have a look. I'm going to put in the link to this video, certainly the article for the new 25 laws that are coming into Mexico. I want people to be well aware that the Prime Minister of Mexico is moving forward with Agenda 2030. She is part of the World Economic Forum. Her and her husband hang around with Larry Fink from BlackRock. Again, BlackRock have consolidated all major corporations under their control by becoming the majority shareholders. And the husband of the president of Mexico is also the big player at the Central Bank of Mexico. You're starting to put this together now. If you have any information that you wish to share with us, that adds to this and gives more pieces of the jigsaw, please put the information in the comments below where people should be looking. Because together, the more we share this video, we share the information, we share the little bits that put the next jigsaw piece in the emerging picture, then we are one step ahead of where they are and we can make our play. If we don't stick together with this and we try and act on our own, we're going to struggle. We're going to struggle. We are really going to struggle. I'm sorry it's not good news, but I do believe we can get through this. And I do believe if we work together and form the communities and understand and share the information, that we will get there. As we always say here on the Atlantic Underground podcast, believe nothing, can question everything. If I can think of anything that I've missed that I need to add, I will drop it into the comments. I will pop it into the show notes, so check the links underneath. Just get ready, people. We're in 2025 right now. Their agenda is 2030. They have 5 years to achieve their goals. They're going to push hard onwards from 2026. 2026, I'm going to see you in England. Anybody who wants to speak to me further about why and where and what they can do, send me a message, send me a contact, let me have your email address, WhatsApp, whatever. I'll do everything I can to try and help you, because we're in this together and we should deal with this together. So until next time, everyone, take it easy. We've got this. Stop worrying. Just be aware of the facts. Just be aware of what's coming. And together, we'll make it through. Take care, everyone, and I'll speak to you soon.